Hello, it's Cried here, with an off-meta build and playstyle for Gunlance, where you can utilize the new Blazing Lail. Most people would probably dismiss this Gunlance because many hits within the best spammed combo, Multi-Stake Worm Blast, cannot proc Whiteflame Torrent. That is absolutely true. If you're just trying to replace your G lawful boars with this Gunlance for your meta build, that isn't happening. Not even close. As you see on screen, you'll only get one check per multi-stake Worm Blast, which is why it takes 3 entire rotations to proc the pity on Whiteflame Torrent. If you don't know precisely how Whiteflame Torrent's proc calculations work, you can refer to my previous video down in the description. But as things stand, even in ideal scenarios with multi-stake Worm Blast, you're looking at an average of 1 proc every 20 seconds or even more, which makes the true damage boost worthless compared to the damage you're losing. That's why the focus of this build will not be multi-worm stake full blast, but the burst fire combo instead. Now the burst fire combo has a few advantages, like being able to use quick reload instead of doing a full reload, or more importantly, Burst Fire is a far shorter combo than Wormstake Full Blast. Multi-Wormstake Full Blast's main source of damage is the very backloaded double Full Blast sweep and stake combo. If you're interrupted, you will lose a lot of damage, and you will also need to eat the time cost of reloading before restarting your combo. This is why I definitely recommend earplugs for the meta Gunlance builds. Because the burst fire combo is much shorter, we are able to react defensively far better than using multi-worm stake. Furthermore, getting interrupted is not as big of a deal, as you won't need to reload until your combo already finishes. As such, we can skip earplugs for something else that will better push our damage. There is one more advantage that the burst fire combo possesses. While the multi-worm stake combo has a higher DPS than the burst fire combo, the burst fire combo uses a lot less sharpness even when we compare 2 rounds of burst fire to 1 round of multi-worm stake, which takes about the same amount of time. The sharpness consumption listed uses lawful boars for multi-worm stake versus the burst fire combo using Blazing Lail. So the burst fire combo actually deals more damage per sharpness consumed. This matters for us because sharpness affects the burst fire combo more than it does the wormstake combo, since the physical hit portion takes up a larger percent of the total damage. And because of this, the white sharpness of the Whiteflame Gunlance helps it pull ahead. And the quick test on screen confirms this. This does not just apply to the dummy test, by the way. I made sure to have the Whiteflame proc exactly once here, since you're expected to proc it an average of 1 time per 2 rotations. You will see that the 2 Gunlances are basically tied for their hit zone value based damage, but the Blazing Lail pulls ahead when it comes to true damage from the shells and Whiteflame proc. This actually means that on real monsters, which usually have physical and elemental hit zones lower than that of the dummy, the Blazing Lail will be doing even better relative to the G lawful boars. I do want to say that currently, Wilds heavily favors white shells. Even though Blazing Lail deals more damage with the burst fire rotation, the lawful boars can make up some damage through white shell's wyvern fire damage bonus. By the way, for this build, you should try to use your wyvern fires after a perfect card or another wyvern fire to get the fast version of it out. If ever they decide to buff the other shell types though, this would be a good base for the burst fire style of Gunlance, which I think is what they want normal shell Gunlance to be. Anyways, back to the moveset. 1 entire burst fire into a dodge and reload lets you easily poke and reposition in roughly a bit over 5 seconds. This means that compared to the Wormstake Full Blast combo, we're going to be activating Whiteflame Torrent twice as often. Additionally, after performing a burst fire, you can do a sweep followed by a quick reload and another slam downwards for yet another burst fire. This will allow you to hit the second check of Whiteflame Torrent in less than 4 seconds after the first check. and the third check and onwards a bit under 5 seconds as you continue to chain it. You're likely not going to have the opening to continuously chain this move, so you're probably going to cycle through 2 or 3 burst fires each time. Still, this gives you a good rhythm for proccing your Whiteflame Torrent in a weapon type otherwise pretty darn bad at utilizing the skill. For the weapon decorations, Artillery 3 is a no-brainer for how much damage it boosts our ammunition. But we're running a normal Gunlance now, where each shell deals less damage than a white Gunlance like Lawful Force. Do we still want load shells too, or would something like Offensive Guard be more beneficial? Using the values for something a bit more realistic, like 70% physical hit zone value, our total damage from a combo without load shells too comes out to around 451 damage. If we add in one more shell worth of damage, we're getting a whole 9% damage increase, which makes load shells 2 still worth it, even on normal shelling. And of course, we also have the added benefit of a slightly faster reload. You can fill the final slot with either Offensive Guard or Guard. As we already have Whiteflame Torrent as yet another damage increase skill, I went with Guard here to help with the defensive aspect for when we do need to raise our shield. I say this because we're going to be running Evade Window plus Adrenaline Rush as 2 core skills in our setup. Adrenaline Rush grants us raw attack when we successfully dodge an attack. Gunlance ammunitions don't crit at all, so Affinity doesn't work well with Gunlance. As such, we prefer getting more raw attack to scale our shells. This combo pairs well with the relatively short burst fire combo, which grants us more flexibility in our defensive timings to perform dodges. Also, we're relying more on dodges because Blazing Lail doesn't come with enough slots for us to properly slot higher levels of guard without giving up on big chunks of damage from artillery and load shells. That's why we're going to lean towards dodging instead of purely guarding for our defensive option. Since Gunlance comes with a really poor dodge with low iframes, unlike something like Dual Blades or Bow, we're going to have to invest into Evade Window to make it much more comfortable to use. With the Evade Window plus Adrenaline Rush combo locked in, we should definitely consider the Non-Guardian Rathalos set, as the Scorcher set bonus buffs our Whiteflame Torrent proc with even more true damage. As I mentioned in my previous video, going out of your way to fit 4-piece Rathalos set can easily be more detrimental than helpful. However, we happen to need the skills provided while running the Whiteflame weapon. Getting more damage for our setup by dealing more true damage with the Scorcher set bonus is a great way to increase the Gunlance's damage, as Affinity doesn't work well for us. This makes our skill selection limited. We pretty much already maxed out all the skills we need that give raw attack, so the only way to push for more damage is through the set bonus. And this is something we definitely want to do, as the big advantage of using Burst Fire over Wormstake Full Blast is to be able to react better defensively. We have to make up for the damage loss elsewhere, like from our gear. The other level 2 deco slots will be invested into Counter-Strike and Resentment for even more raw attack for when you do get hit. This way, even if you didn't dodge in time, or decided to guard and receive chip damage, the additional damage buff from these skills will kick in for you to make up the damage loss. We're also taking one level of burst because it is just too good as a front-loaded skill. And for the 1-slot decos, I went with something normal like Recovery Up. Divine Blessing is another good option as monsters get more difficult and are more likely to one-shot. Avoid using Recovery Speed though, as you don't want to lose out on Resentment time. Like and subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming breakdowns. If you want to support my work, please consider buying my fantasy novel or donating to my Patreon down below. With a book purchase, you can also request a topic from me. Krite, signing out.